Welcome to Forging Flame. My name is Nick Hinton.
And I am Ryan Selleck.
And this, of course, is the podcast where we sit down with artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, people who get after it in some form or fashion and break down their creative process, motivations, hopes and dreams, fears, and so on and so on. Today, we've got good friend Zach Rohn of Batch Number 2 with us. Say hi, Zach.
Hello.
Okay, so, we've lost Ryan already. He's already running. Oh, we've got the air conditioner on. We don't need that excess ugly sound in the background, but back to you, Zach. So tell us a little bit about Batch Number 2. What is that?
So Batch Number 2 is a sauce company here in Indianapolis that I own. We make mustards, ketchups, hot sauces, barbecues, all stuff with no refined sugars. We use stuff like molasses, apple cider vinegar. You can find us at the farmers markets as well as a number of like retail shops and restaurants around the Indy area.
Very good. And this is actually exciting for me because I've been dying to get some people who work in food and beverage in various capacities because, I mean, that's the area where I make my money these days, and my job is heavily creative, and I feel like the creative end of food and beverage is really underserved, at least in terms of like the perspective of being like an art form, right? Like a very valid art form at that. And for my money, you make some of the finest goddamn yellow mustard I've ever had in my life.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I think food is something that's kind of like really heavy in the craft area, which like craft is like, I think related to art, but not necessarily the same thing. And so, yeah, I do think it kind of gets, I don't know. I don't think it's as underrepresented as when I like started cooking, like 10, 15 years ago. But I still think it's not, necessarily seen as a pure art.
Right.
Especially mustard making.
Saucerer is one of the most ancient forms of food magic.
Is that a real word?
Saucerer?
Yeah.
Are you a saucerer?
Well, there is there's terms for like mustard makers. Like moutardier is a French. Yeah, that's like the actual profession of mustard making.
Almost sounds like something that'll get you canceled.
Exactly. Maybe we should avoid that term. I'm already feeling offended. If we could just edit this out, please.
I would love to fully embrace it, but even that I feel would get you in trouble, right?
Yeah, I almost did.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
They call that dog whistling.
Never heard that term, but I like it. Oh, man. So you, from knowing what I know of you, just based on the fact that, I guess we've probably known each other for 3 or 4 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I found out what you were doing just because of Instagram. When I launched my pig chips business, started following everyone else in the Indianapolis area that was doing stuff in the food space. And you popped up with these crazy ass little Instagram live videos with a hand puppet. And his name is escaping me.
His name's Harvey.
Harvey, yep. That's right.
Yep. No, the Harvey was probably my finest hour in my professional career. I found him the other day. I was cleaning out a side room and he was kind of face down and a little dirty. He's not doing so well these days, but no, Harvey was a green puppet that we used to do a show, and it was a little live show on Instagram Live, and I would bring on like business owners, restaurant chefs and stuff from around the city to do this live show with this puppet. And the best part was that some people knew the gimmick and some people really didn't. And you would get these very serious, like real people, and you get them out there and they realize that you're going to be doing a puppet show. And the person that buy you is not even going to be in the video. They're going to be a puppet. And so it's just you looking like an asshole with a green puppet. And it was amazing because, I mean, we had the chef from Gallery Pastry Shop there. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I thought I was coming to cook, and now I'm just making a quiche out of Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah. There was a couple times where you could just see it in people's face like, oh, what did I get myself into?
I saw it and immediately fell in love. You were doing it right for sure.
So it definitely kind of like I'm proud of it because it had that gritty kind of feel that I feel like late night MTV, like Liquid Television used to have, or like did you ever remember Syphil and Ollie? That little puppet show or whatever. Yeah, that was kind of the inspiration there.
Yeah, I think it was well executed for what it was, and Harvey very much has a personality of his own. There's a distinct bifurcation in Zach and Harvey.
No, it was actually a lot of fun. I really think that this is a great time for Harvey to come back because it's kind of what the world needs.
I'm disappointed he's not here today.
I didn't even think about it.
That's all right. We're gonna do everything we can to boost Harvey, hopefully even onto his own platform because he deserves it. He absolutely does. Harvey is worthy of his own TikTok feed.
Actually, Harvey would do really well with TikTok.
Harvey would destroy TikTok.
That might actually happen this weekend.
Yes. Let us know. We'd be glad to share some of that along.
Do you guys have a TikTok?
We don't. I don't. For the life of me, I don't understand how that platform could be utilized for this sort of medium. But
I feel like I've felt that way about everything since Instagram came out.
Yeah.
And I know it's not true. Right? I know that there are definitely people that are being successful on there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. I think I have a TikTok, and I don't think I posted anything on it. I almost felt creepy, because you kind of there's a certain point before it becomes into the public where that platform belongs to a certain group, like 14-year-olds or whatever, and you kind of to be a pioneer in that world is a little weird because you got to be the late 30s guy that's doing the TikToks and
you don't want to be the first weird older guy to jump into that swimming pool, it's odd. What are you doing here? Very, very strange platform. Anyway, I mean, Ryan, if you think it's a good idea, I will try and wrap my head around it. But until then, I have no interest.
Yeah, I have no opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I guess
let's not rule it out.
People like Gary Vee would probably say to shut the fuck up and just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I don't even know how you would begin doing it there.
I think you have to dance.
Is that how it works? It's
that's all I
music
see.
videos.
That's all I see.
Because they came out of Musically, I think that was the thing before, and then it turned into TikTok, and I just stopped paying attention to just about everything about that point anyway. So I mean.
What's the world coming to? Oh well. So anyway. So prior to saucing and Harvey, you have a culinary background in general, right? You went to culinary school, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my entire professional career has been in the kitchen. I eventually went back to culinary school. I went to the Chef's Academy, RIP. And then worked in the industry for a little longer and realized that as much as I liked the food world, honestly, it's taxing. There's a lot there, and if you really want to have the hope of having a regular life, then you got to
brutal.
Yeah. There's little chance of that, and I moved from that into making sauces and things like that, trying to work more for myself, and that's kind of where I've been ever since.
So when when batch number 2 kind of first came into existence, what did that look like? I mean, how many recipes did you start off with just out of the gate? Was it just the one?
It was initially just a whole grain mustard. So I was working as a chef downtown when I started batch 2, and it was literally something that I would just do on Saturdays. And it was pretty cool because, you could go out there and one of the cool things was you could make as much selling mustard at a farmer's market stand as you could working a shift as a chef down in a restaurant. So, it doesn't take long before you kind of start thinking, maybe I'd rather do this. And, from the simplicity, like it's a lot simpler to, manage a handful of recipes as opposed to a whole menu or whatever.
Sure.
So no, I just kind of played around with it for a while. Then I ended up, I had cancer and took a couple months off from the restaurant world and came back and realized that maybe I didn't want to be working working every day away, and started trying to make active moves to, do something for myself. And so, got through all of that. Everything turned out just fine. And honestly, haven't really looked back much. I've done some, there was a pretty large transition period where I would, as I was ramping up my company, I would be working, nights and weekends and stuff like that. And that really stopped maybe a couple years ago. Especially during Christmas time, you gotta do something. But yeah, no, for the last couple of years, it's been basically that full time. And yeah.
I could definitely see why, especially, after kind of proving the concept initially, why you would be more drawn to that level of food business, right? Because just like we were just speaking with a filmmaker in Los Angeles and talking about kind of like the broken nature of a lot of people who get into entertainment. And there is definitely distinct crossover there, and people who get into like back of house and even front of house, like, service industry type stuff, who are just kind of broken people. And there's something about that world appeals to them. And I think my personal belief in that is that, like, if you're a broken person of the type to which I'm referring, there's a part of you who, because of that, is likely to be like kind of a caregiver sort of a person. And there's something to be said about cooking for people, right? It's a very strange and often like abusive sort of a thing, but it's also very rewarding in a lot of very, very tangible ways. But the self-employed, like not open for service, not having to deal with, a bunch of hot orders flying in like at your face, not having to sacrifice every single like night and weekend and holiday, I can see how Saucerer is much more appealing, especially having a kid and such.
Well, yeah, no, actually, I think that's really interesting. Yeah, on one hand, like, it's the control. Like, I like the amount of control that running a business has over my life. I can decide. It's not, and it's not like you're going to do less work because you're working for yourself. In a lot of ways, you do more work. But when you come from a restaurant background, you actually don't do that much more work than you would be doing at a restaurant. So, that's the fortunate thing. So, yeah, there's a control aspect of it. Is I get to do things exactly on my terms. If I don't like, working with a certain account, I don't have to work with that account. Like, I have ultimate, granularity in that. But I do think there's something to what you're saying about like the restaurant culture. And I don't think it really gets talked about a whole lot. Just there is it is a beautiful thing. There is a sort of camaraderie that's involved. But there is also a sense of, I like the concept of broken people in a quasi-abusive system. It really is. I think it gets better and better. And I think that's with everything. Like, I think more light is shining on everything and kind of making every area a little less racist, a little less, sexist, and all, the litany of them. But there's definitely some things in that industry. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be specifically like those types of things. I mean, it's things like what you're expected to do in work. Like, sure. You're expected to work nights and weekends and holidays and not have health care.
Right.
Like that's insane.
Yeah.
That's an insane concept. The fact that you should be just dropping stuff to come into work, that you shouldn't have a personal life that would conflict with that, or that if you're sick, it's sincerely suspect.
Right.
Like that's one of the things that I thought about at the beginning of the corona was like, oh man, how many people are going to go into sick to work? Because I know that was never okay. It was not okay to be sick. So, right. And that's not okay. Mm-hmm. But, so yeah, I think and for me, it was a thing of, I like building a thing. I think I like building a thing more than I like specifically food. Sure. So it wasn't necessarily like I needed to have my name on a menu, and be, the idea that to me, it's pretty cool to have a brand name that, I know that I made, you can see that places, and, that does it just fine for me.
Well, and I do actually have a something I want to get to related to that, but I think now's as good a time as any to ask. I mean, why food in the first place then? Like what put you on that path to going to the Chef's Academy?
So it would be related to, I went to college, like I think everybody my age, and had no idea what I was doing, and kind of bounced from major to major, was just spending a lot of money, and I dropped out of college, like so many people. And it was, I had just happened to take a job at a restaurant. And it kind of occurred to me that all of this structure, you'd just gotten out of school, you went and did more school, and maybe that wasn't, we weren't finding what you wanted. And all of a sudden there was this place where it was almost like, the wild, wild west. Like it wasn't politically correct. It wasn't, it was less paperwork and more actual results. I've heard that cooking's called an honest profession because you have to show your work for the day. It's not like you can't skate by for 3 months with not doing anything. Right. You can skate by with a lot of things, but you got to do your work. So
at the end of the day, the proof is literally in the pudding.
Right. And so there was always that kind of dynamic. It seemed very real to me. Because I was leaning towards some sort of education degree, and it was just more and more bureaucracy and more like taking classes about what kind of presents that it was appropriate to hand out on holidays to kids. And it was more about, less about educational theory and more about how not to get in trouble. And yeah. And that was 15 years ago, not even now in today's environment. Yeah.
It sounds similar to how police are trained these days.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
Yeah. Well, no, I think there's probably a lot of correlations there. There's a whole, group of people that are essentially left to deal with societal problems that are out of their control, out of their purview, and definitely not given the resources or training. So I think wherever you stand on anything, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's like I see that as more of like an issue of entities, be they business entities or otherwise, being more beholden to insurance companies and attorneys than to end users.
Yeah.
Or employees that are actually making the things happen. So yeah, I mean it's the same thing. Like you sell your soul as a business owner and like go public and start, you've got shareholders and shit, right? Like it's them you have to make happy. It's not your customers. So yeah, it's a similar ball of shit. But so I definitely, having my own experience owning a food business for a time, rest in peace. I definitely get the strong feelings associated with owning the thing, having your brand, and it's the only one, right? but you had a bit of an issue at one point in time with some rip-off situation, right? With your branding.
Yes. So that's a really fun one. Oh God, I want to try to get this right. So I got a message on like Facebook or something, and a friend was like, "Hey, somebody's ripped off your logo." And I went and checked it out, and sure enough, they had taken my logo and taken the batch number 2, and they had like not photoshopped, like paintbrushed like a number 7 there and made it batch number 7. The best thing was a school that had ripped it off in Nepal. And so apparently like their classes are called batches, like your class of whatever 2020 would be batch of 2020. And so this class had stolen my logo from across the world.
Wow.
And to me, that's when I felt like I made it.
Thanks, Google.
I never reported it or anything. I was so I was so flattered that somebody was like, "Yeah, I want that. I really want that."
That's kind of how I feel about your jiu-jitsu picture. The one with we started a jiu-jitsu based app some time ago, and one of the things we did was we had a blog post that had a photo of a close-up of Nick's grungy hands with like athletic tape around his fingers holding his white belt, and I still see that to this day on blog posts all the time in my Facebook feed. Just your grungy white belt hands.
We got to figure out how to get some rights from that, man.
I know, right?
We need some.
Somebody owes us some fucking money.
That's right, royalties and shit.
Yeah, we're grateful. Don't get us wrong. We're grateful, but we also like money.
So my sister became a meme, and it was amazing. So she does historical acting and works at Connor Prairie.
Oh, okay.
And has worked there since she was like 14. And at one point, somebody had taken a picture of her churning butter. And then it ended up going around on Pinterest, and there was this whole story about Amish Mima and how this person got up at there's some elaborate story that was absolutely not true. And then it got turned into a proper meme. And it was at one point, it was the when you run out of data for the month, and then it had a picture of her churning the butter. And, it was like retweeted by Ellen, back when Ellen had a job, and then, by all these people. And the funny thing was, when I was talking to her about it, and she's like, yeah, I don't even know what to do about it. People have like started to recognize me from this meme because it literally went viral, and like I don't get anything for this. And I was like, what if, as an actor, that's how you made it? Like that was it. And she's like, that's actually been my deepest fear.
It's a hell of a flash in the pan, but it's better than nothing, I guess.
So yeah, I'd be okay with being a meme.
That's fair. I actually, and for you, dear listener, if you're not local to Indy, Connor Prairie is it's a, what do they call it? A living museum.
Yeah.
It's like a period-based interactive museum full of historical actors, and their hosts of programs that they have. There are lots and lots of different like sub-villages and stuff that they've got. But they also do dinner by candlelight series. And I was lucky enough to get to go to the very last dinner by candlelight that took place like a week, 2 weeks before shutdown. So I was able to go and have this amazing experience, my wife and I, where they'd take us back through the woods and into the old like original historical home, and made us a period appropriate, very, very lavish meal. That was, amazing. And my wife and I actually churned the butter ourselves. So.
Yeah, no, that she was doing that. So you probably saw her there when you were. Yeah.
What's her name?
Elisa. I don't know if they do like special like period names there.
Probably so, but
yeah, Victoria or something.
I'm sure that I'd recognize her. So yeah, that's Connor Prairie is a great place, and I really want to. I would love to get one of the. I don't know her exact title, but she is she's kind of she runs a handful of the different programs there, and the candlelight dinner being one of them. But anyway, so enough free promotion for Connor Prairie. just kidding. I'll promote him anytime. But okay, so back to mustard. You started off with your whole grain recipe. Like I said when I was praising you before, I do truly feel like the products, and I know that you're going out of your way to make sure that you're that you're using high quality, naturally sourced products or ingredients rather in your products. But as far as the creative side of that, I mean, I assume that you're not just like pulling a mustard recipe off of Pinterest and calling that your ballpark mustard, right?
All recipes, the one that has 500 comments on it. Yeah, no,
exactly.
Well, the mustard in the first place was it was just something that nobody really makes. Sure. That's not as common. Like chefs will make their own like aioli or mayonnaise or whatever. There's even some like house-made ketchups or whatever, but most people didn't even know how to make mustard. And so, yeah, a lot of it was, God, it's been so long since we were actually researching mustard recipes. But we basically came up with some base recipes. Like, I mean, it's essentially mustard seed, vinegar, and water, and then whatever spices. So like, sure. It's just a proportion thing. And we kind of have some base recipes. Like if it's going to be a smooth mustard, it starts with this recipe, and then we go off of that. Or if it's going to be like a whole grain, then it kind of starts another way. But that's how we came up with our. I think the creativity in what I do is not so much like, I mean, you can come up with different flavors of whatever. But really for me, the most creative part was trying to make like a business structure that would give me everything I wanted. So, I would have, be able to work the kind of hours I wanted to work. I would be able to do the kind of things I wanted to do. And so for me, some of the really creative things were trying to figure out how do you market to people? Like, how do you make messages that people want to hear? How do you make that, compromise between what you want to do and what people want to buy? And so I think that's mainly where my inspirations lay, not necessarily in like the recipe creation, because once you get something that works, you basically are just kind of swapping out flavors.
Sure.
And, there'll be certain things we might make thinner or thicker or whatever, but I mean, that's still just a proportion thing. And once you got something that works, it's going to work with a variety of things. But yeah, that's where.
I guess it would be like kind of an insurmountable task to reinvent mustard, right? So you've got like an existing baseline, and yeah, you can definitely exercise, some creativity and just like you said in that flavor. And that's why I love anytime we get an opportunity to speak with an entrepreneur here. I love highlighting the fact that entrepreneurialism is itself a creative pursuit. I mean, because and I love the way that you put that with structuring a business that allowed you to do what you wanted to do, basically, and that creative mindset that you exercise kind of at the outset of the business formation. I mean, everyone who's still in business now has had to adapt pretty rapidly for the most part. So, it's something that people are still exercising, whether they want to or not. If they want to survive right now, while the shit's hitting the fan, so to speak, it's kind of a must. But what have you done to adapt as like your bulk orders have slowed down?
So yeah, the Corona's been an interesting time, I think, for everybody. We definitely, most of what we do is through restaurants, and then to some degree through the retail stores. And so, yeah, pretty immediately, our sales kind of went through the floor. We started doing the one thing that was nice for us was we're not sitting on Mass Ave or downtown. We didn't have like, the sort of overhead you've got if you've got, a restaurant that relies on having super packed Thursday through Saturday nights.
Right.
And, we're a small, it's just, me and one other person that does most everything. And so we don't have a huge staff to worry about trying to find jobs for or whatever. So in a lot of ways, we were fortunate. We had a kitchen, so we switched to doing a lot of meal prep sort of things and finding places to sell that. And that was able to, supplement us through the lockdown period of everything. Now things are starting to return. And it's not fully normal. I mean, we've seen a decent amount of our restaurant orders come back. We were selling to a lot of places. Like, if you can afford the more premium products, the more expensive products, then you're probably going to be amongst the people that are more long lasting. And so I think there was there's even some, we've lost a decent amount of accounts for people that were customers and are still in operation. And, just you have a lot of people cutting costs. And I understand that. I don't think I don't begrudge anybody that makes a decision that is going to keep their business in business longer. I am super curious to see what the next year holds for everything. There's been this, it's the new normals thing. And, I don't know what that's going to look like. There's what that's going to look like for people who do shows, who do, restaurants. I have a feeling like my whole philosophy for this year is I'm kind of, checked out for the year. I'm assuming everything like during the summer, we rely heavily on events. We would be doing 3 or 4 markets a week and then maybe 1 or 2 events a week. And that's just, gone. Yeah. All of that's gone. I know, like the Chris Kendall Mart up in Carmel, they've canceled that. That was a huge thing. And I don't even know what it's going to look like. So I'm just trying to keep flexible. I know a lot of, it's interesting to watch a lot of the restaurant owners around town try to pivot and make things work. I've seen them, just from the places doing takeout service to in the street dining. Restaurant owners are pretty resilient people. But at the same time, it's also such a thin margin industry.
Right.
I just don't understand. I'm honestly shocked that it's taken this kind of hit and hasn't seen a deeper attrition rate. And I don't think we've seen the last of everything that's going to happen, but
certainly not.
It is an impressive effort what people are doing and trying to make work.
Mm-hmm. It's terrifying, really, and I feel horribly for anyone who is in that position, as a business owner, but most specifically, bars and restaurants. It is ugly out there. And it's almost a situation where if you don't have like external money backing you because of how slim those margins are, most restaurants are in a situation where like 3 bad weekends in a row, man, and you're belly up. Like that's a bad place to be. But that's, it exists for a reason.
Yeah. I feel like there are still a number of places that are operating off of like PPP funds. Yeah. That are, I know of a number of places that are keeping pretty fully staffed, even though there's really no need to. And, that's like you said, which is for whatever it's worth, I've heard a lot of people that have been helped out by whatever, the government interventions. I know there's a lot of short sites and a lot of people that have not been helped, but I don't even know how anybody would do that thing right. Because there's the conflicts with the unemployment and the small business owners, and I mean, I know for restaurant people, you had people making $250 a week going to 800.
Yeah, right.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, try and talk
Like, for
that
a
guy into
3-month
coming back to work.
Yeah, for a 3-month period, that's essentially a year's salary for you. You know, like
It's not bad.
yeah, no, there's legitimate reasons why it's hard to get people back to work, and it's not, you know, and I don't think it's fair to blame like laziness or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of rough when you realize, oh my God, I've been living on $250 a week, and there's some people who are receiving less than me or less than that. You know, I don't know. That's it's kind of crazy.
Kind of, yeah. That's putting it lightly. But okay, so you know, definitely took a hit. But what did that, at its breadth, what did your distribution look like prior to COVID? How far reaching were your products?
I mean, mainly like you could limit it pretty much between like Evansville and Fort Wayne, with most of it being in the Indianapolis area. Gotcha. There are some places in like Chicago and like Ohio that use our products, but that's, you know, kind of just here and there. We were, I want to say, over 60 retailers and over 60 restaurants at that point in time. I'm not exactly sure where we're at right now, but I mean, we do still, you know, on a biweekly basis, we're putting out orders to our distributors, so it's still going along, and you know, there's a lot of people that are doing their best to keep things as normal as possible, and I think that's, you know, pretty huge.
Sure. Are you guys doing any online sales?
Yeah. Okay. We have our online store, and that, you know, that's definitely seen more orders since you know, the lockdown and stuff. There was an initial period where everybody was buying stuff like crazy. Right. You know, the whether it was gift cards at restaurants or, you know, just online orders. So, but we're still doing, you know, we still get a decent amount of online orders, so that's been good. You know, and the meal prep stuff has really helped to kind of sustain us, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's good that you were able to kind of shift gears so abruptly and keep the ship above water, so to speak. But now you mentioned off air something that you have begun to do in the meantime, perhaps as a bit of a soothing balm to your COVID tortured, you know, business owner life, in the form of Harder Brunch.
Yeah. So Harder Brunch is a podcast that happens every Sunday. I've been involved with it since roughly the beginning of the year, like BC before Corona. I'm the silent portion of the show. I produce the co-hosts are Dyke Michaels and Chris King, two very, very funny individuals. And we essentially, well, I do the recording, and Dyke makes really good food, and Chris King makes fun of him. And we have a pretty good time and get usually pretty drunk in the process. Yeah, that's, I feel like, and now like everybody's got a podcast, so It's kind of fun because it's like a little podcast community. But yeah, no, that's been a lot of fun. It's been something completely different. I'm happy to do something where I'm not doing the food in any context. It's nice because it's been really cool. I would say the majority of their guests lean toward the comedy end of things. Mm-hmm. There is like a service industry thread, but that's kind of based on the idea that everybody's worked in the service industry to some capacity somewhere. And so, you know, anybody has kind of an insight to it. But that's been a lot of fun. Comedians are different types of people. And so it's kind of cool to watch people with really, you know, sharp wits banter back and forth,
slicing at each other. Yeah, they've got a pretty good dynamic over there, I would say. And oftentimes at your expense, but
Yeah,
no, I like their show. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I take a lot of the heat. Well, I don't know about a lot of it. I take my own proportion of the heat, but mostly I'm off mic, so I don't get to spar back, and so that's led to quite a few interesting moments. I'm going to get canceled one day for things I didn't do. So,
right.
Which I guess that's better than getting canceled for things he did do.
On some level, yeah, I suppose.
So it is a lot of fun because we'll start it, and there's some level of intoxication once we've started recording. But it's definitely after an hour or so. It's definitely because we bring the drinks back with us, and so it definitely starts out kind of risky. Everybody's kind of feeling each other out, and there's some times where they start venturing into topics and things, and I'm glad that I don't have an active role in speaking, where I'm just keeping the record, and that's kind of nice. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to do something different. It's fun to do something that's not, job oriented or whatever. I think it's a pretty, and what I noticed, I had originally gone on as a guest, and it just had a different feel with most places. I had done a decent amount of like TV interviews and stuff, and like it was always, very kind of nerve wracking.
Sure.
And we sat down, we ate, and it was just you. By the time you started recording, you felt a lot, very comfortable, and by the time we were done with it, it was like, yeah, I'd like to be a part of this. This is something really cool. I feel like you guys are doing something interesting, and the two of them have a fantastic dynamic. I know Dyke is a comedian around town. Chris King is not. He's a very naturally funny person. And really the cool thing is they can pretty much carry a show between the two of them. And so then when you also have a good guest, it's just, it's really kind of something special that happens. So, we have a really good time, I think.
Yeah. I'm glad that they're still doing it because it is different. There's plenty, I mean, even though, the useful signal to like noise ratio is very skewed in like the podcasting world in general, right? But what they're doing is very unique. I like the approach of disarming the guest entirely by pumping them full of super rich food and booze, right? That it makes a lot of sense.
And I will say, like, Dyke goes all out on these.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes there's very little comparatively. There's very little talk of the food comparative to all the effort that goes into it. Because I'm pretty sure he's taking like
7 courses.
Well, it's like 4 hours of like working on this stuff, and he's not cutting corners. Like like we did fair food the other day, and he's making corn dogs and frying corn dogs, like, and so like he's doing some really good food there. And so yeah, no, that it's I can't understate the food is fantastic, and the company's better. So like it's a really great thing to be involved with.
Well, as Indy's newest up and coming podcast, frankly, I'm offended they've not asked Ryan and I to come on yet.
I know I was
an atrocity,
wondering if
really.
we're going to have this awkward conversation on the air. So we did. There we go. The request has been put out there, I guess. So.
Yes,
I'll have to. We had early on, and this is actually before I got involved. They had a guest lose their job, somewhat due to the podcast. They came on there, and they were just talking about all sorts of stuff, and like that happens at work, and they were kind of talking more in generally, like in restaurants total. But the way they were sharing the stories, it didn't make it obvious that they weren't talking about their current place of employment. Then they get done, they're like, by the way, I work here, this is great food, you should come by. And then and the best thing is the podcast at that point has like 3 people listening to it.
Right.
Nobody's going to know this thing that you said and put on vinyl. But he goes ahead and texts his boss or the owner and says, check out this podcast. I think I did really good.
Whoops. Great job. And you're fired.
And technically, I think the person got fired for something else, like closing early or something. But it was like days after that, and like they were on thin ice, and so yeah, I
mind your tongues.
Mind your tongues. Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I guess I should watch what I say, as the only person here with someone to be beholden to. So
better watch it.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think we're all beholden to somebody.
Well, sure.
It's just, I always liked, speaking of cancelable topics, I always liked, there's a philosophical concept that, as we moved away from things like slavery, where we would enslave groups of people to do our work for us, that we moved the burden onto ourselves. And so we kind of atomized slavery onto the individual person. And so essentially you're a slave for yourself.
Sure.
And I always felt that there was a degree of truth to that.
I mean, there's at least through my own journey, there's at least some sort of weird, like, masochistic shit going on.
There's at least some indentured servitude involved.
Need to feel subservient to what exactly, I don't know, but something. So, okay, the professional end of your life, very food centric in one form or another, but creatively, I mean, has there been any other sort of outlet that's caught your fancy? Or, I mean, have you fancied yourself a painter at any point in time? Like, what else have you done creatively?
Well, I've always been interested in creative things. Like when I was a kid, I used to do like videos and stuff. Jackass was popular, so of course you had to do a bunch of things where you like set shit in your parents' house on fire. I don't know if that was more just Jackass was popular or I was being creative, but
who's to say?
Who's to say? I do find myself interested in creative endeavors. I've never fancied myself as having a lot of technical, like artistic skill. So I've always been interested in things where I could be like organizationally creative. And so like my girlfriend, for example, is just able to draw, while watching TV, and it's better than anything I could do if I was trying. Right. And she's not trying. And I've always been very like interested in people that can do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think if I had like if I had creative freedom, it would be something like the ability to like come up with a product and have somebody else produce it, or come up with a show, sure. Like conceptual stuff. But I mean, that's what everybody wants to do. I want to be the idea person.
Right.
Like, I just want to come up with ideas all day long.
Let
I got
somebody
such
else
good
do all
ideas.
the work.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I can respect that. Mm-hmm. Well, I was gonna refer to Ryan, but this show is his idea too. He does all the work, and it was his idea, and I get to sit here and blather and take an unfair amount of the credit for it.
No, that's perfect, because sometimes I like to just hang back and just watch and listen.
It's fine. It works.
Because I'm not so much a conversational type, so this wouldn't have been something that I would have really executed on my own. Like, I was thinking about doing it when I became unemployed late last year. So about a year ago, I've been thinking about it now, and like that was the thing that stopped me, is that it's like I'm not that guy that's going to carry the conversation. I'm not the life of the party type deal. And then he starts a podcast with his 13-year-old daughter. She's 13, right?
Yeah.
13-year-old daughter, and I'm just like, man, if he can just come here, do my podcast. Like, fuck her. Like,
yeah, she didn't take that news too well.
I don't mean that. I was totally kidding, Maddox. I love you.
She hasn't spoken to me since early July.
Oh boy.
Wait, did that podcast get dissolved? Did you
no,
say there's only room in my life for one podcast?
That's exactly
what I told her. It was a very awkward conversation.
I said, until you've got something to bring to the table, I'm not doing this. I'm better than this show.
Well, good for you, and no 7th place trophies. That's huge. She's really learned a lesson, I think. That's character down the line.
That's right. Sometimes you just gotta take out just knock the light right out of them. Anything good and pure, just dash it against the rocks. Oh man. So that's another thing you and I have in common. A fellow parent as well. Would you say that you've...
Wait, you're saying we have a parent in common?
That's what I took. This is related.
This is an exciting episode. I didn't know that.
The M. Night Shyamalan style twist to episode number, what is this, 16? Holy shit, this is episode 16.
16, yes.
Wow.
I had to look at the number.
But I'm your brother, Zach.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. No, I was trying and failing to say was you and I have parenthood in common as you are also a papa.
Yeah. So, my child is 2 years as of June.
Holy smokes.
I know. It's amazing. The time has been flying. And I apologize for anybody who's not parents, because, we just pulled out like the vacation book of pictures and everybody's like, but no, we had a kid, and John is a family name. It's Johns and Williams, skipping generations. So I'm a William by middle name, and my father was a John in there. And so the deal was he was supposed to either be named John or William. And I asked, can we name him John? And the missus said, as long as it's John Wayne. And I said, sold. And then John Wayne got canceled.
Oof.
And so now he has a canceled name, but he goes by Bear mainly.
Okay.
So, we fixed that.
There you go.
Bears aren't canceled yet, are they?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I think they might be safe.
Okay.
Bears, indiscriminate killers.
Yeah. But cute.
Indiscriminate is the key there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Indiscriminate and cute.
Cute.
That goes a long way.
Murderers.
Yeah.
Adorable murderers. Yeah. Until you're 4 feet away from one.
I was going to follow that train of discussion a bit further down the road and stopped myself cold in my tracks. You're welcome. You are welcome. Anyway, Jesus Christ.
Sorry, guys.
So one of my favorite things is that we played around, Dyke's played around with different podcast formats to do. Have you listened to the Burn the Wells?
I have not listened to Burn the Well.
Oh my God. I don't even know how many of them are up. We've recorded a number of them. Okay. We've poorly recorded a number of them, and we have not recorded some of them and thought we were recording them. So the concept was we started out recording with a phone set in the middle of a table, and that was our studio. And then as time has gone along, we've and I say we again, Chris King has brought some equipment to the table, and it's actually a very respectable looking setup. And so, we've explored some other, podcast ideas to get the most out of what we've got set up. And the Burn the Well concept came up where basically after we had gotten done drinking for 2 or 3 hours, we did another podcast with a local bartender or whatever. And it predictably has gone excellently / terrible every single time. And so there's some that are legitimately the funniest episodes I think we've ever recorded, but I don't even know if those have made it. Some of those, sometimes people get upset because we're all very drunk and it just derails super quickly. That's been the most fun for me. And it's definitely, I don't even know. I think recently we decided just to scrap the whole project, but I'm sure it'll come back. So yeah, that's one that's worth checking out. And the unfortunate thing is I feel like the tamest episodes are the ones that have made it. Because there's been a couple where it's let's just delete this one. Let's just not put this one out there.
Perfect time to set up a Patreon account. Put it behind a paywall. That's, if you have to pay for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what you do with that. You put Burn the Well behind the paywall.
Yep.
Where all the naughtiness is.
I mean, because at that point you're were consensually engaging in that.
Right.
That,
That's a fantastic idea, actually. See, that's
You're welcome, Dyke.
We should have you on the show.
So I can tell you about everything you're doing wrong.
That's been a lot of fun. Is we've had some people who do this stuff professionally to whatever extent.
Sure.
Whether it be Brett Terhune was on there.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that he was a fairly big deal in the comedian scene or whatever. And so, he also like writes for Bob and Tom and stuff like that. And, when he comes in, like, you get these little pointers about stuff. And because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I've been learning at YouTube University like crazy about how to try to produce a podcast show. And I think my favorite was when he was on, Dyke's dog kicked a rubber ball under a piece of furniture, and we had to have our guest get lift the furniture and retrieve the ball so the dog would stop going crazy on the air. And I felt like for our possibly most famous guest, that was a super appropriate use of his time to come in and.
Let's remember that, Ryan. We'll keep it in the cooker. We just got to cut the legs right out from anyone who is, too high on the
you have somebody on and you're like, can you give me a glass of water? Can you
make me a sandwich?
Can you make me a sandwich or something? And we'll get this started. It really reframes the power structure.
Yeah.
So I think I heard on an episode something about online erotica under a pseudonym. Is that?
Oh God, this is going to come back every single way. See, I thought that's where you were broaching when you're asking what other things I might do.
I was soft shoeing it.
Yeah. So when you talk to Dyke, you got to know that everything's going to come up on a stage or in a show later. So I've had a foray into writing erotica on Amazon. I saw a YouTube video that was like, you can do this. And I was like, what? And so I watched it and I was like, huh, seems pretty simple. And sure as shit, you can. I've got 7 books. They're still selling. I'm not going to tell anybody my pseudonym because I don't need to. I keep those things separated. But it's a lot of fun because I just went on... So I wrote it, and I wrote it in Microsoft Word and then saved it as a PDF. Amazon makes it real simple to do shit. And it's a print-on-demand situation or an ebook. So there's nothing involved in your part. You just produce the content, upload it. For my cover, I went to Fiverr and found somebody that specialized in romance novels. And so then you just so this is the most fun part. You go to, Shutterstock, find a picture and say, I want this person, in some sort of whatever scene. And then, they come back in 24 hours with a really good looking, cover. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. And the funny thing is that stuff, it sells every month. I get a little bit of money deposited into my account from, this little residual source. And it's a lot of fun. I don't know if it's something I would do, full on. Maybe I'll give up sauce making and just become, romance novel, erotica writer. I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible way to go.
I could see an entire series of mystical sauce making and passionate love making combined into.
Well, they had a KFC romance novel for real.
Fucking kidding me?
You got to look it up. It's hilarious. God, what was it called?
I absolutely will have to.
All you have to do is Google KFC, romance novel. But they made the funny thing is if you go through the erotica, I mean, it's there's some crazy shit out there.
Oh, Chuck Tingle.
What?
Familiar with Chuck Tingle?
No.
He's my favorite internet eroticist.
Okay.
He makes a lot of really I don't even know what the words are to describe it. He's got an entire series of which book 1 is titled "Pounded in the Butt by My Own Butt."
That's amazing.
The second is "Pounded in the Butt by My Book," "Pounded in the Butt by My Own Butt." He's got one. It's like a millionaire velociraptor boyfriend, or one where there's an anthropomorphized helicopter who the main character is in love with. There is a Sasquatch. I think maybe an entire series on falling in love with Sasquatch.
Well, that's the amazing thing is the genres. So like, like the werewolf thing as a trope is pretty popular.
Sure.
But like there's the werebears, which is, the husky version of the werewolf scene.
Is it ever?
Which is, it's amazing to me that that's a thing out there. That, good for you. Like I am happy with a culture that embraces werebears. I am all for that. But the funny thing is where the lines are, like the conduct lines, which it's actually not super, like it's never explicitly, there are some things that are not explicitly said as far as what's okay and what's not okay. And like one of the things is you can't have bestiality. But if it's a fantasy creature, then it doesn't count. It's something different. And so you can like bang a dragon, but you can't bang a
German
lizard,
Shepherd,
or,
right.
or a German Shepherd, or like like a werewolf sort of anthropomorphized version of that. That's okay. And it is like there's like certain things about like incest that you can't go too far into. Now, like I know that like if like there are brothers having a threesome with a woman, that is not necessarily considered incest. There's a line.
Okay.
Right. So, but that's okay. But it can't be just straight up incest.
What about cousins? First cousins. First cousins okay?
I don't know.
I'm asking for a friend.
I don't know if they have a degree chart, degrees of.
I hope to God they've got some sort of like infographic or document.
There's an infographic out there, sure, surely for all of this stuff.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So I do like the idea of the velociraptor, billionaire velociraptor boyfriend, because that's like that's very, so is he like satire? Is it mainly, or is there a serious note to it?
There is some level of like social or political commentary that takes place in like, at least by title in some of them. Like pounded in the butt by the Green New Deal, or like there's one that's like related to Brexit or something.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of that, and I've listened to some samples of like the audiobook clips. So I've not like done any of the deep dives. It's mostly the type of thing where like you spend half an hour digging through, because you can spend half an hour plus just looking at the titles, because he's made hundreds by now.
Sure. Well, it's really not hard to make, like I've got an afternoon in one of those books.
Oh yeah.
Like a solid afternoon.
I missed my calling.
You still could. You still could. Like, no, I did see like they come up with all sorts of stuff. There's like how to talk to your cat about guns, and it's a pretty funny little book, and it has all sorts of subjects. How do you talk to like how to keep your cat from being radicalized on the internet and shit like that.
I think I'm a little late to the boat on that one.
Oh man,
my cats are always up to no good.
I feel like every cat's been radicalized. They're all sleeper cells. We just don't know what they're waiting for.
They're all alien robots, man. I don't trust them.
I do enjoy some good conspiracy theories. I think one thing that's really disorienting about now, and really the last, I feel 5 years, is that somewhere along the lines when the gorilla got killed, we jumped. Yeah, we jumped into a different timeline or something. And I feel like there's all sorts of. I feel like it used to be like the conspiracy world was a lot smaller. Like you had to kind of be crazy. Like you had to like it wasn't like, and now it's very much mainstream. Like not. I mean, it's to the point where the government's been like, yeah, UFOs, it was real. And like that, and that kind of just got swept under the rugs. That happened somewhere around murder hornets, and and it was really a non-event. But pretty much, there's if you don't subscribe to some sort of conspiracy theory now, I feel like you're kind of out of the loop. Whether it's I mean, really, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, you've got the climate change, or if you kind of feel like that's not real enough, then you could just say that it's masks and that, everybody's trying to control us with those. I did see a great YouTube video where they were like, they cut a mask in half and then they started pulling microchips and stuff out of it.
That was great.
Well done. Well done.
So like, I do kind of feel like for somebody who grew up loving like zombie movies and like conspiracy theories and like there's a lot in this world for those kind of people.
Sure.
And I mean, it's almost, I'm pretty excited to see what the next part of the year holds.
It's a wild and wonderful world of possibility out there.
I mean, at least it's not an election year. Because then things can get crazy.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory? What's the most satisfying with everything that's going on right now?
Oh, I was going to ask the opposite. I was going to ask what's making him struggle with his sanity. But let's start with yours. Yeah.
I'm looking for satisfying because I haven't heard a satisfying one that really encompasses all the insanity that's going on right now.
So, like, satisfying in what way?
Intellectually satisfying, to where it's just like, okay, yeah, I could see that,
So,
like flat Earth, not satisfying at all.
So I think flat Earth is super interesting. To me, that's like one of the harmless ones.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whatever. I don't. You can believe that one. And did you hear about the guy that went to launch himself in a homemade rocket and died?
I believe so.
He was doing something to prove that the Earth was flat, and what I thought was sad about that was on the internet there was a lot of hatred for that. There was like, he got what he deserved, yada yada. That's why you don't. And to me, I feel like, regardless of your views about flat Earth, that person went for it. And so few people actually, because I can't prove that the world is round. Sure. I actually can't. I can't prove a lot of things. But that guy said, I can't either, but I'm going to try to prove that I'm right. And he died proving that he was wrong. But I mean, so few people are willing to, actually put that much on the line. So I got to respect his drive. Like, I
don't know where this came from. I just want to interject. I did hear that guy wasn't actually a flat earther, that he just wanted to build a rocket.
Oh, really?
And that he exploited the cause to gain funding so that he could do this thing. So
I kind of like that better.
I know, that twists the narrative on its head a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I mean, he still got what it like. I mean, yeah, like to me, that's the American dream. He pursued the American dream and right to its conclusion, and
a blaze of glory.
But no, I enjoy the. As far as conspiracy theories, I think I don't know, because some of them are just more real, like climate change. That's not. I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think you could. Some corners would say it is, but sure. Then you get your anti-vaxxers and stuff like that, and the whole which they got quiet for a while. I actually haven't heard from them in quite a while. I feel like if we get a corona vaccine, we're gonna. Here, I feel like there's this assumption that if we get the vaccine, we're fine. Like nobody has witnessed the fact that we brought measles or brought some of these diseases back due to the anti-vaxxers. The problem's not going to be solved once we get a vaccine. We've still got quite an uphill battle after that fact.
Oh yeah, all the ancillary conspiracy theories around COVID are probably just like breeding a whole new generation of anti-vaxxers, I would assume, you know.
I would, and you never know. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I do feel like it is funny that we have such access to information now. And, you know, that I feel like right now, culturally, it's a real fun thing to go back in time and be like, look how ignorant people were. They thought this dumb thing.
Right.
But we have the internet, and look what the fuck we've done with some shit. Like they didn't have unlimited information like every single person does now. So I think in context, they did pretty good with what they were working with.
Right.
Like, there's very little to explain why we've done some of the things we've done. But, you know, I mean, like, I enjoyed some of the, you know, like it came from a lab, it didn't come from a lab. The masks are good, the masks are bad, the masks are good, the masks are bad. And then what struck me was nobody had the goal to say, we don't really know. Mm-hmm. We don't really know, and we're going to make a lot of mistakes. Just straight up. And I think if that was said, more people would be like, yeah, okay, I get it. Here's what we thought initially. We were wrong about that. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to say that. And maybe people aren't willing to hear it either. I don't know. But I feel like I would listen to that kind of perspective. But no, I think it's interesting that I feel like COVID accelerated a lot of things. It accelerated our work culture transitioning to like remote work. It forced a change for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that's never going to go back, and I think there's probably some positives in that. I think there's interesting implications. Like they've talked about New York, like what happens if most of the high paying jobs in New York don't require New York? You know, then why do you stay there for the rent? If you realize you've been downsized or, you know, put on Zoom forever now, you know, that's an interesting thing. I think I suspect strongly that COVID and the lockdown and the general anxiety of our country had something to do with intensifying all of the social unrest. You know, not that there's not, you know, very legitimate cores to that. But I definitely think that you lock a population down for a couple of months and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, billows out of control.
Pressure cooker for sure.
And so, I mean, it really is kind of a fascinating time. Like, I remember when everything started, I was scared all the time. Like, I was scared I was going to get sick. Did you guys do that? Where you woke up every other day and you were like, I had the little thermometer. I'd check myself, and then like 2 months into it, I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, I did
start every day with like the cursory like symptoms checklist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's that ache? What's that pain? Is that a sniffle? It's just my allergies.
I remember reading all the studies that are like, you know, like stay inside or you're gonna get sick. And then the ones came out, they're like, being outside's good for you and keeps you from getting sick. And then you can be like, haha, I was right, but you know, you didn't know. Or like there's so many, yeah. So, you know, I feel like everybody's exhausted. Maybe that's what happens at the end of the year. Everybody gets exhausted and goes to bed for a month. That would be a really cool end to 2020.
And we wake up on another entirely different timeline.
Yeah, and we wake up on another, we just, yeah. I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm going to try and not have any sort of expectation for the sake of my own sanity.
Yeah, I don't think, the cool thing about all of this is it is a time to restructure things. Like if you were kind of not happy with your career, this is a great time. I mean, yeah. You've got a lot of opportunity, I feel like, to do something different. I feel like there's a lot of people in the restaurant industry where that's kind of I feel like you get, and I don't want to say everybody gets trapped. Like, I think there's some people who like really love restaurants and that's what their calling is going to be. But I feel like there's a group of them that get trapped there that, you know, and I think that that's a really great opportunity when they all go away to, you know, maybe figure something else out. I mean, that's the positive thing I could take from it. Yeah.
we've noticed a lot of that too. I mean, given that we started this kind of on the tail end of, things shutting down and starting to open back up, that like pretty much all of our guests have had some kind of like transition happen, during this time. It's kind of been a time for reflection and kind of reevaluating what where their lives are headed and like what's important to them. It sounds like in your case that you kind of had that early on with the whole cancer thing, which is why you went into business for yourself. Like you had that whole kind of wake up call that's just like, man, do I really want to spend my life doing all of this like this every day for the rest of my life? And then instead you started your own business, and I think that's cool. I think too many people go too far down that trap of just working for other people and being a part of the machine because that's what's expected of you, and not really living their lives for themselves. But yeah, there's a lot of that going around. A lot of reevaluation, a lot of pivoting, a lot of changing gears, a lot of suffering. It's quite a bit of suffering. But we could always get hit with the meteor. It could get way worse, people.
There's what? Did you see the thing about the meteor? Oh, you didn't? You're not even referencing that. That's amazing. That's amazing.
No,
Jesus
I just
Christ.
always I just try not to take for granted that our fucking planet can just get wiped out at any moment.
Yeah, no. I think like you said about like the cancer thing and about like, I really think shitty things are an important milestone in people's lives. Like for me, one of the most, I am super grateful that I got cancer. And I can't project what other people who've had that experience. I had testicular cancer, which is something that typically affects men from like 25 to 35. So among the cancers, it's one of like the ones that affects younger people. So when I was in there, and it's better to have that in the prime of your life than it is when you're 60 or something like that. And I was in recovery with a lot of people who were much older and much more frail. And I mean, if you can have something really shitty happen to you and you still make it through, that's really a super sort of blessing, because there's a lot of things that can promise you, how good things could be, but there's very few things that show you how terrible things could get. And that is a super, super important thing to know that's out there, at least. I mean, you can't spend all your time there or else it gets, dark. But I think there's something like, I think it's hard to understand how light it actually is without knowing, how dark things can be. Like that's, so I think, yeah, there's just doubtless lots of suffering happening right now. I really think, you can kind of just see it in the nation. Like there's I've never felt like things were more up in the air as far, and it's not even one factor. It's not even just like, I don't know what's going to happen with this Corona thing. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen with the election. I mean, there's a possibility that regardless of the outcome, we tear ourselves in half. Like that's
right.
And I don't think that's a controversial statement, not even speaking to a side of politics or anything like that. Like, and that, like I said, then there's also Corona that's going on right alongside it. And then there's the economic, I don't think we've seen the worst of it. I think regardless, and I know there's probably better ways it could have been handled, but I think the U.S. did a pretty decent job of shielding the majority of its citizens from the effects of this. And so I don't think we've felt it properly. I think that for us, like for Elise, when she was laid off of her restaurant job, she went to making way more than she did before. So for that period of time, technically speaking, she made, 3/4 of a year's pay and 1/4 of a year. And, so in ways like that, that doesn't fix the fact that her job is still, slow, and it's probably going to get slower as outdoor seating gets shut down. And at the end of the day, I'm super impressed with Black Market and all the things they've done to pivot. They've gone to, their chef Esteban has been taking it to a really like high class Mexican cuisine. It's really cool what they're doing over there, but it's really hard to, I think, maintain something on Mass Ave if you're selling takeout. And so,
Sure.
you know, I know Ed's super vocal about, you know, the state of the restaurant world, and, you know, and he, you know, that there's a lot of smaller guys that are probably feeling that same thing, but there's an opportunity. I mean, same amount of mouths are going to need fed, just in a different way. So that's not going away. You know, I think it's just a matter of how people, you know, react to it. And, you know, if you're, and I don't want to put it all on the people. Like, I think this is something you can be definitely small enough to be engulfed by through no fault of your own. But still, there is opportunity out there, and I think that's an important, you know, thought.
Sure. Yeah. And hopefully everyone, you know, has a strong desire to slather mustard all over everything.
Oh, yes.
And support the old batch number 2, not 7.
Yeah, not 7, but that's okay. If you want to go to Nepal and support batch number 7, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I wonder how they're doing with COVID, the Nepalese.
I don't know. I check it every so often, and they're posting pictures. I can't
rocking it.
That's a
I
good
can't
sign.
read any of it. It's just pictures of school kids. Like, I think it's the funniest thing in the
Oh,
world.
it's hilarious. It's fantastic. All right, so a quick conspiracy theory lightning round, and we'll include some cryptozoological beings in there as well. Bigfoot.
That's fantastic. Okay. What? Yeah. What about him?
Pro or
Yes
against?
or no?
Yeah.
Wow. Is this like a? I mean, am I for him being a thing, or do I think he is a thing?
Do you believe?
I'm gonna say yes on Bigfoot.
Yes, I'm Bigfoot.
Okay, and then more existentially, do you support Bigfoot?
Oh, I would absolutely support Bigfoot. I was once convinced that mermaids were real.
Okay.
The Animal Planet is not always a legitimate organization that just shows factual documentaries. Sometimes it makes up documentaries about mermaids. Oh. And I didn't see the first 5 minutes of the documentary that said that this is not real. And so it was sort of a found footage sort of thing. They were like documenting cases, like especially along this area where they were drilling and getting lots of mermaid activities. And I was hook line for 2 days. For 2 days as a 25-year-old man, I thought mermaids were fucking. I thought they found him. I thought it was a real thing. I was showing people, and then they started to come back with the. Yeah, I mean that's a fake documentary, and really well done.
Yeah,
really well done.
Have you heard of the Serious Mystery?
No.
Oh man, you'll love this one. So, the Serious Mystery is some science. I'm going to butcher this, but I read the book Serious Mystery by I think Robert Temple. But he was a prolific astronomer at the time, and basically sacrificed his entire his reputation to write this book. And what it was is scientists discovered cave paintings of an African tribe called the Dogon. And in these cave paintings, they had very detailed orbital patterns of the Sirius star system. Specifically, I think a dwarf star, something like some detail that you cannot possibly ever see with the naked eye. And it had been in there like long before any modern telescope technology. So there was no way that these people actually like physically observed these things. So then his idea is that, okay, well, if they have this information, you have to ask, how did they get it? And which some people did in the scientific community, completely swept it under the rug. But what they said is that the extraterrestrials, the Syrians, which were like these basically amphibious creatures like mermaids, came down and gave them this information. So
I'm all for it.
yeah,
I'm going to look into that one.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
That's pretty cool. I did see, so on, I think it's fun when you're like scrolling Facebook or something, what ads come up. And I kind of feel like there's some component that has to do with what you've clicked on, what you've typed, what you follow. But I also feel like there's a component that has to do with the what people are buying. So, like, because I mean, it definitely gets seasonal, right?
Sure.
Around Christmas, you start seeing the same type of ads. But what I started to see are these beanies that have like metallic thread woven into them.
Oh.
And so they're literally like a new version of a tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
And based
Sold.
like I feel so stupid. And like what I want to know is why. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of these, and I don't know if it's because like I've clicked on one of them just to see how much it is, or if it's if there's a lot of people that are buying this. But I think it's interesting that the tinfoil hat is making a comeback in some sort of like legitimate way that people are at least like, I mean, it doesn't look crazy, so I can just be wearing a beanie and at least I'm safe, so why not?
It's like eternal salvation, right? Why not just hedge your bets and follow the book stuff?
Did you ever check out the AM radio show AM Coast to Coast?
No.
I've heard segments from there. Yeah.
When I used to drive home from Peoria, I would put that on. And I mean, it was like the quintessential somebody's somewhere in a trailer with this AM radio set up and they're taking callers that are talking about like the super classic, like, we've definitely been seeing lights out here.
Mothman sightings, all the good stuff.
One of the more satisfying, I won't call it a theory, but satisfying hypothesis with like UFOs and aliens and stuff is one that's kind of, we were just talking about this the other day, one that's kind of rooted in the idea that, to my knowledge at least, there weren't really any, I mean, there are very few, if any, UFO sightings or anything like that before like the technology age really started to kick into gear. So that kind of, to me, that indicate. I mean, you look further back, you start seeing the Blessed Virgin Mary. That was one that people kept seeing. This like basic like entity of that kind of thing, and then like fairies and gnomes and stuff like that. That it's almost like there's some sort of energy that's just beyond our ability to perceive it, and the way that we perceive it basically gets filtered through our current reality tunnel, like the way that we're looking at things. And now that we're in this technological age, it's like really, it's not too far-fetched that like a much more advanced civilization is interacting with us, but maybe it's just this other sort of energy that we can't even begin to fathom. And the best way we can begin to fathom it is through our measly five senses, and we just make sense of it the way that we can with what we already think is real, because technological civilization was like probably not a concept 600, 700 years ago,
Well, I think it was Carl Jung that used to talk about the collective unconscious and the idea that, we would come upon some of these like dragons, and that's probably more symbolic than it is, like actual. And that we like, I think it's very possible maybe we've even constructed these things. So you construct phenomenon, and maybe as a culture you construct phenomenon that would be relevant to you. So if you're in a pretty religious period, start seeing Virgin Marys or witches, or if there's technology, maybe you see aliens and spaceships, and maybe that's all the same thing, just rendered like like through your culture's lens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, because I think it's because it does kind of go through phases. Like there was like the ghost phase. Like I feel and I feel like social media kind of destroyed that one. Yeah, like, sure. Yeah, like by now we should have had a pretty legit, ghost sighting.
So anti-ghost. All right.
I'm anti-ghost. Yeah, definitely.
Anti-ghost.
I'm pro-zombie.
Pro-zombie.
Okay.
I think that's still an opportunity, and I don't think we're going to get it this year. But I've been holding out for next year. Surely disease, like that's got to be a thing. Corona doesn't quite count. It's a shitty zombie virus.
Oh, yeah.
It's too political.
Plot just kind of fizzles out on that one.
Yeah. I did watch, oh God, what was it? There's a movie about pandemics. Was it called Pandemic? It may have been.
Was it No, not Parasite. Had nothing to do with pandemics.
Parasite was very good. I saw that too. I saw that I think before the theaters. Mm-hmm. Like I think it was actually in that dicey period where like nothing was closed down, but nobody was going out anymore because we went and it was literally just us in the whole theater, and like there was like one other car in the parking lot. It was a great movie.
That was my favorite time. That specific hole there where people weren't freaking out too much, but just enough to where you could get where you wanted to go in the grocery store.
The first.
Well, that was a bad analogy. Actually, the grocery stores were packed at first, but like get where you wanted to go in the city.
Getting to the grocery store was nice and easy.
Yeah, but it was crazy there for a second.
Watching the grocery stores empty was one of the most unnerving things.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my God. Like every time you went to the store, it got like a little bit worse. And it was like, wow, where's the bottom on this thing? Yeah. Like, am I really not going to be able to get food in a month? Like,
then you start stashing canned foods. Like, I don't even need this, but it's here, so I'm going to get it. Like, I might need this later.
I'm still excited that like the paper goods haven't fully made a rebound. Like it can be gloves. I've been having a real trouble finding gloves recently. But so yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of shortages abound.
Yeah. I had to almost resort to some unsavory measures to talk a guy into hooking me up with 3 boxes of gloves the other day at the old restaurant depot.
That would be a fun Reddit thread. What's the most unsavory thing you've done for like toilet paper, sanitizer, or gloves? Because, I mean, you got to weigh it out. Like on one hand, I want the hand sanitizer, but if I have to do something less sanitary than I would to get the hand sanitizer, then I don't know.
I've got my first 4-part series on Amazon's romance section now. All the horrible things I've done for PPE. That would be, yeah. I'm trying to think of a title. my love affair with the sanitizer baron.
Yeah, I don't think I can help with this one.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
I think that's my favorite thing about like media now is that you can tell like commercials where and shows where people are wearing masks. It's very cultural. Like it starts at a certain period. Mm-hmm. Like that wasn't around. Like you can tell when you're on Pornhub which ones were made recently because some of them have masks on, which I really appreciate. That seems
it's very safe.
Yeah, considerate.
Yeah.
Very.
I don't know.
Very socially responsible.
Right. At least part of it. I don't know.
Still no condoms, right?
Still no condoms. We're talking about real pornography.
None of that hippie watered down shit.
I'm pretty sure the hippie stuff has less condoms.
More hair,
less condoms.
Fair enough. More foreskin too. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Well.
So Epstein, yes or no?
Is that part of the cryptozoology? Like, am I
it's in its own list. There's an intersection there.
Yes, he exists.
Existed.
I don't think that I should go on the record saying I'm pro Epstein.
You definitely should not.
Pretty sure just that can get clipped out.
Oh yeah, you said pro. I'm pro. I'm not even gonna say it.
Yeah,
but you said it.
All I'm gonna say is I need to check those flight logs.
Yeah, for real. We'll check it against his moniker too to make sure that he's not flying under a different name.
So here's where it gets really weird. Okay, so the intersection of Epstein and creepy black magic cults.
Yay or nay?
I mean, now does that have anything to do with the Wayfair cabinets?
That's new to me. I haven't heard of that.
Did you not hear about that? So that was a conspiracy theory. So they had this whole thing. Wayfair's just, I believe they're a UK company. They make furniture and stuff like that. And they had a couple of higher model cabinetry things that were, inordinately priced. And they were named
after children.
Well, they were named women's names for the models. And so then there's this big conspiracy theory that was actually where you went to go buy children. They would show up in the cabinet, I guess. Maybe the cabinet wasn't involved, actually. Maybe you just get the child. I don't know.
At a certain point, your garage is filled with cabinets, and you're like, what the hell do I do with all of these?
That's what gets you caught. You're trying to dispose of all these goddamn cabinets.
We noticed a lot of Craigslist postings coming from your IP address.
Yeah, they just don't fit in a wood chipper the same way.
Not the way the bodies do.
Glad you took it. I was aiming it that way.
Yep, I took it that way.
So, but no, I don't know. I feel like there's no sort of black magic going on there. It seems very corporate, like that Epstein thing. It has a whole social club sort of feel to it. It doesn't have a voodoo feel.
Gotcha.
I feel that it would be more interesting if it had a voodoo feel to it, and it would be, just kind of corporate and slimy now. And so, I definitely think he exists.
So now I'm confused. You're saying pro Epstein?
Well, pro that he exists. I do believe in him as a structure.
Like Santa Claus.
like Santa Claus. That one's always, I think that's the most unspoken taboo, is saying that one. Like, you're not allowed to address that one, right?
Santa Claus?
Right. Like, I think that one's an even deeper one. I feel like you have people talk about pedophilia more than the existence of that one. I'd feel dirty trying to accidentally out that one. Because, it's like an unspoken rule. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that on TV. You can't say that isn't a thing.
That's a good point. I'm not trying to get murdered. I'm not trying to get Epstein, so I won't say anything about the old SC.
I think that's the social campaign I want to start, is to stop lying to children. Tell them about things like the Easter Bunny. Tell them the real truth. I'll start at libraries. And I'll make myself a book, and I'll address all the lies you've been told as a child, and the parents will love it. And as long as, I do it like, I don't know. Yeah, that I'll work on it. I'm just workshopping it right now. It's not a finished concept.
If I can offer a note, perhaps thrifted or to some degree well-worn Santa outfit, perhaps a portrait of the Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, maybe Santa himself, Sharpie devil horns, and a megaphone. Just treat it like a mid-90s street corner in choose a block, New York, right? Like a 5%er screaming out against a white Jesus. Just along the same lines with the same level of fervor and vitriol.
See, I've been going with the more insidious method by dressing as Santa Claus during Halloween, which really throws kids off, man. I didn't even think about that. We just had a Santa Claus outfit, and I was passing out candy, and I put it on, and some kids were really happy to see me. One so much that he started running towards me and tripped over some rocks and ate shit right in front of me. So yeah, that was sorry, kid, but
should have known not to trust that skinny Santa motherfucker.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Skinny 6'5" Santa.
It is true, though. It's kind of a weird thing to dress as Santa for Halloween.
I know.
I don't know why, but it does feel wrong.
It was so good, though.
But do they have sexy Santa? in the Halloween shops? Because there's a sexy everything.
No, then yes.
There's definitely sexy elves. There's got to be sexy Santa. There's Mrs. Claus for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like that's not appropriate.
Yeah.
Like,
not anymore.
I think it has to be sexy Santa.
If there's going to be a sexy Mrs. Claus, there does in fact have to be a sexy Santa.
Right.
It's a rule. We have spoken.
What about the version where, like, where Miss Claus is the one who does the work, and Santa actually stays at home? He's the stay-at-home husband.
Wow.
And he's just Mr. Claus. What is Mrs. Claus's first name? She never even gets a name.
Ooh. I'm gonna go ahead and plant my flag in the ground and say that it doesn't matter, and I don't support this this new model that you propose.
just out of the.
That's worse than a lady Ghostbuster. Goddammit.
But I do think, I mean, there's been efforts to make Santa different ethnicities. And I just think that maybe he hasn't been represented in all the ways that he could be or she could be represented.
I say Santa needs to reemerge as like a hyper futuristic robo being.
There's almost 100% chance that'll happen this year too.
Yeah,
like for real. It will be like a Terminator for.
Oh fuck! God damn it, Trump. That's what the Space Force was all about, wasn't it?
I'm pro Space Force. That might be the only thing that I'm super pro Trump about. I mean, if we can have Space Force, that's kind of at least something. At least something. I don't know what they've done with it. I think they've actually, like, I've heard of people going there to work. So it is a thing. They're doing something.
Steve Carell works there.
I'd work for Space Force.
Did you watch Space Force?
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
It definitely, well, as with any sort of hyper timely thing, along those same lines. It's like whatever that cartoon with like little baby George Bush.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Like cute, I get it, but also I mostly don't give a shit.
Right.
I did like the Space Force show overall. I liked kind of the general arc. I didn't necessarily care so much for how it resolved at the end of that season, but
I never finished the season. I felt like it kind of became unfunny in the way The Onion did. It was just like, oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
saw that one coming.
Yeah,
good one. No, yeah, I mostly don't care to engage too deeply in those sorts of things, but being that it was Space Force, I was intrigued enough to take that ride. Now I did. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I did just watch. It was the Dr. Stephen Greer documentary called Unacknowledged recently, and that shit is nuts. And that's where like the Space Force thing gets into a weird conspiracy theory sort of a realm, and it goes all the way back to like fucking pre-Kennedy. But
I mean, Space Force was on books previously, correct? It was something that he had actually like brought. Like, it was something that I thought was proposed at some point, and then he actually went ahead and did it. Like, I thought there was some groundwork done for it before.
Well, I know
that he was just expanding upon.
Reagan had, what was it, like Operation Star Wars or something like that. Reagan did have like some sort of space fleet thing that he was proposing. But apparently there's this like dark side of the moon, like secret moon base conspiracy. And what, like, the whole point of, spoiler alert, definitely still worth watching if you're interested at all. But, they go deep into like UFO alien stuff in terms of like the terrestrial side of things, like lots and lots of claims that like, yes, something did crash and several of things have crashed historically. And yes, like some of them had bodies aboard, living and deceased. And but basically what the whole point of this thing was that the next step in like how the government or powerful elite or whomever are just going to shit all over everybody is by staging another false flag that involves extraterrestrials and using that to like insulate everyone like Truman Show style a bit further and keep a boot on the throat. And
so the idea is that they go explore the moon more, and then they say, oh my God, there are aliens out here or whatever, and then we have to lock down more or whatever.
Well, allegedly we're in the first stages of it now where they're finally acknowledging that extraterrestrial life exists.
I like this one. This is a high quality one.
And
I'm gonna go rabbit hole on this for a while.
It's I mean, it's surprisingly well packaged. But so that's the first step. And what's already been going on allegedly is development of basically like American-made like dummy craft, like reverse engineered or what have you, alien craft that is supposed to look like it's alien. Meanwhile, it was developed in Groom Lake or wherever the hell. And
they're talking about a base, moon base. That's been the latest, like in the last week or so. Space Force is talking about putting in a moon base, which I'm 100% pro moon base.
I mean, I love the novelty of the idea,
100%.
but
there's no way that's a waste of money.
No, definitely not.
Not at all.
No, hopefully they put a Hilton up.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. I love it. Yeah. Well, could just terraform Mars.
I mean, that's Elon Musk's deal.
That's just crazy.
Oh, God.
I won't support that one.
So how long until we have mustard on Mars, Zach?
I mean, if I have anything to do with it, would you... Here's my favorite hypothetical. If there were a manned space flight, like so we discover that there's an inhabitable planet that is, maybe a generation away.
Just outside Uranus?
Sure. Would you go on that trip? Would you be, shot into space with, a very small chance that, like, one, that, like, it would be your generation that would even see the thing.
Right.
Or but two, would very little guarantee that you would even make it.
My initial reaction is, so it would depend very heavily on what's happening, on good old terra firma.
If there's a better thing going on here, or if it's gone completely to shit.
I mean, if we're in Trump's fifth term and there's no sign of the end of the reign, then hell yeah, I'm hopping off and like going elsewhere. But like, if it's not too dissimilar to, I don't know. If you asked me, like, if you handed me a ticket and you're like, shit's leaving at 7 a.m. tomorrow, you're on or you're off. I mean, I don't know. I'd consider it. I'd wrestle with that for a while. I don't know. Come talk to me later on about that.
That would be my ideal retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd get the kids wherever they need to be. Be like, yep, got through college. Me and your mom are going to shoot off into space. Probably die.
We're taking a cruise, kids.
We're taking a cruise.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, that's logistically speaking, right? That's too much to contend with because ultimately you've got to propagate the species midship,
Right.
So like, how do you, and
it would be very much like outside of yourself because you probably weren't going to get the fruits of this. You probably wouldn't,
Right.
like even if like your journey makes it there and successfully inhabits a planet, you might not be the one to do it, or you might just fly to a dead planet and then just realize you gotta go die there.
I assume though there's at least some sort of, if not outright obligation, some external pressure to bear fruit, so to speak. And if you walk into that situation like previously uncoupled, you're just kind of at the whim of the lottery of like whoever else is on the ship. Like, I mean, how big is this ship? Are there 100,000 people on it?
I'm assuming that this sort of situation follow much the same rules that like a hedonist resort in Jamaica would follow. I feel like you would have to be a coupled person to be there. There would be like some like breeding pool that was selected that were single, like
stay out of the breeding pool. The water is icky.
Somebody has to clean it every day. It's an industrial pump working. Yeah, no, I think it would be something to that degree. Because yeah, you're right. You would have a duty to, mix up the genes a little bit. So that's part of why I want to go.
Maybe.
I'm assuming it's just going to be some debaucherous. I'll be the old person with my martini, walking around naked in the ship.
Oh God, what's the? Let's see. You've got hedonism. Is sandals one of those where it's like unspoken, but it's like semi-clothing optional?
I mean, everywhere's clothing optional.
So what's the ship called? What's the spaceship called? That's like a low-key swingers.
It would be like
cruise line.
Milky Genesis or Milky Way Genesis.
Just gives me a deep like shudder. I feel it all the way in my spine.
Yeah.
Wear your sandals for sure.
It would be the SS Captain Kirk.
Don't go anywhere barefoot.
Come get Kirked with us. Explore new frontiers.
USS
Boldly
Cream
go.
Pie.
That's the upgrade package.
All right, let's get this over with. I like how I'm acting indignant when really I feel like I'm responsible for most of the atrocity of the last 45 minutes.
Before we go, 9/11.
Oh.
Inside or outside?
Or did it even happen?
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
Like that one, I mean, like I feel like if you can deny a Holocaust, then you can deny a 9/11.
Oh, hey, Holocaust.
Right. Am I pro-Holocaust? I like that we can break these down to that. This is perfect.
So
there's a whole line of them like, yeah,
pro means it did happen.
Right. Yeah, definitely, pro-Holocaust, 9/11 denier, just really
Flat earther. Bigfoot's real.
Zion neutralist, actually. Oh, God.
Okay, so 9/11 definitely wasn't the Jews then. That's what you're saying.
I mean,
the Jewish people, I should say. You can't say.
I think you can say
saying Jew.
I think
nowadays.
you can say Jews.
That's starting to come on shaky water now. You got to be really bright with your inflection.
Yeah. No, you can't be like the Jews.
Yeah,
that's the wrong way to say it.
You can't have
that's
that.
That's not okay.
Whatever you're doing after
Jews.
Yeah, the
Jews.
The Jews.
That's more of a question.
The Jews.
That's
Jews.
Well, thankfully, you put us into a better corner than we were a little while ago.
I'm just letting you know that with the audio that I have here, man, I can ruin you, Zach. I mean, I like you, but I'm just.
Oh,
expect a mustard ransom note.
Well, I'm kind of excited because I personally believe, and I've believed this for a long time. This is before cancel culture was had a name, but my theory is that the internet is eventually going to rip the veneer off of all of us. So think about this. Think about if you had a word cloud made out of everything you've typed into Google. I feel like Google is something that we are just brutally honest with. Like, in a way, we're not honest with any other person.
Yep.
And like, if you know, so that information's out there, regardless of what VPN or whatever you've used, it's out there. It's not, and that's all going to come to light one day. So everybody is going to have their own form of cancellation. And so I think it's more just about being okay with it. And, you know, getting ready to embrace it. Because I don't think there's any point in fighting it. Like, if somebody comes at you and they're like, well, you're a racist, and you say, I'm not a racist, that's not going to do anything for you. So, I mean, you might as well just enjoy the perks of, you know, whatever group you're assigned into and go with it.
So if a skinhead tells you that you're his friend when you get to prison, maybe you just roll with it.
Right.
No, fuck that Nazi fuck.
So not pro-Nazi. Is that where we're at on that one?
Wait, does pro mean I believe or don't believe?
That's not how this game works.
Shit.
It's called the soundbite game.
I feel like Dyke would approve of this game.
Oh yeah, that's most definitely.
Soundbite, yeah.
But no, that's
All right. Welcome. This is episode 16, and the title is "Welcome to Cat Subculture."
I like that.
It's cute, right?
Yeah. You did good there.
It's a nice sprinkle on top of all the yuck that just transpired.
Well, I got something else to add to that. You were mentioning about Google being really honest. Like, I read a book about that. Forgot the name of the book. The only thing I remember from the book is it had a lot of different bits of scientific information about things that, you know, people would not be honest about, but Google is painfully honest. One of them is, at least for a time, it was more likely that a man would search how to give himself oral pleasure than his wife.
That makes sense.
I believe it.
That makes absolute sense. Like,
I mean, I've never personally Googled it. I mean,
wait, hold on. Are you telling me that there's a methodology for making it happen?
There's only one way to find out.
All right, Google. Here we go. Been trying unguided since I was 6 years old, and
wow.
What?
Do you catch a charge if you do that when you're 6?
You should.
Or is that just its own weird purgatory?
At that point in the game, I was not into electrical stimulation, but
all right, there, good. I'm glad we kicked the can down the road on that conversation. I didn't think we could get any farther.
And yet
Here we are.
Oh God, Ryan! Sorry. Hit the stop button. I'm done. I'm over this. I'm thoroughly disgusted. I'm quitting this show. It's over.
All right,
cancel it all. But before we cancel it,
for our listeners that made it this far, first of all, thank you for listening to Forging Flame. How can our listeners find out more about you, Zach?
So now's when I do the plug. Yeah, right after this. Good.
Zach, Pro Bigfoot.
So you can find www.batchno2.com, and then on social media it's batchno2 for pretty much everything. Yeah, you can find our stuff at the farmers markets, Carmel, Broad Ripple. I'm not exactly sure specifically what places are carrying it right now, but if you see the Batch 2 little logo, that's us.
Try it. It's delicious. All of it. Every bit.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, man.
Hell of a guy.